Mic check, mic check. Check, check, check. Welcome to another episode of TikTok videos. Today I've compiled a bunch of great videos. They are all about globe Earth, flat Earth, and some annoying people that I've found on there. Oh man. I think I found some of the most annoying people ever on TikTok. Anyway, this song is called Fuck Authority by Pennywise. You guys have got to listen to this if you haven't already. It's so relevant to life right now. It's amazing. So let's go ahead and jump in. Let's give this a pause. And the videos that I've found, well, some of these we've probably seen, but I'm going to show you this guy. This guy is incredibly convincing, probably to some people that don't know anything about this. But let's go and kind of dissect some of this annoying globe Earth BS. And also notice his presentation.
Dude, how do we know the universe is 13.8 billion years old? Well, the universe is expanding, and we know this because when we look at distant galaxies, they're all moving away from us. And the further away a galaxy is, the faster it's moving. Not through space, but with space, as space itself continuously gets bigger. Alright. Well, if we run the clock back, the universe would have been denser and denser until at some very distant time in the past, space and time was concentrated into a single point. We can solve for how long ago that was. How? Well, let's walk through it together. First off, we can determine how fast galaxies are moving away through measuring the redshift of their spectra, as well as their distance through what are known as Cepheid variable stars and Type 1a supernovae. These are known as standard candles in astronomy because they shine with a known consistent brightness. This allows us to calculate the mind-numbing distances to the galaxies that they're in. Okay. After the distance and velocity of galaxies is understood, you can plot the two graphically and notice that they're linearly related. Again, the further away the galaxy, the faster it's moving. Velocity is proportional to distance. The gradient or slope of this line is the average recession rate of galaxies, and it's known as Hubble's constant. It turns our proportion into a useful equation, known as Hubble's law. Ooh. Now, the precise value of Hubble's constant still needs refinement, as the various methods used to measure it still disagree to a level that cosmologists aren't entirely comfortable with. Noteworthy too is that it changes over time, so it's not really constant. For our purposes, we'll just go with the value of 70 kilometers per second per megaparsec. The middle ground for what's been experimentally measured. Okay, you said mega what? Megaparsec. Just know for now that it's a vast measurement of distance equal to over 3 million light years. For every megaparsec, galaxies are receding away about 70 kilometers per second faster. Alright. Hubble's law is incredibly useful for a variety of reasons. For now, we'll just use it to find the age of the universe. Moment of truth. So, given that the whole universe was together at one point, how long would it take a galaxy to reach its current distance from us given its current velocity? Well, we can rearrange the equation, dividing both sides by Hubble's constant and then both sides by velocity. 1 over Hubble's constant is equal to distance over velocity, and d over v is time. The age of the universe turns out to be the inverse of Hubble's constant, whose value we can plug in after converting it into the proper units, and we wind up with this number in seconds, which is equal to about 14 billion years. Voila, the age of the cosmos. Cosmologists are able to refine this number to the more precise 13.8 billion years after using math a bit more complicated and taking into account the total energy composition of the universe. But how incredible is it that such a simple equation can yield such a profound result? Yeah.
Amazing.
Can you repeat everything you said?
So that last comment that he says, it's like, so to dissect this, obviously if someone has never looked into the subject, they're going to listen to this guy and just be like, wow, interesting. And it does take more than one time to dissect this video because it's pretty long. So sorry for making you guys sit through that. But
when we look at
also, he seems like a nice guy. He seems like a really intelligent person. But here's the thing. A lot of the things that he's saying here, he's literally repeating from a book. None of them can be confirmed. And they're all just piggybacking on assumptions. So that's one of the things that he's doing here is assuming, first of all, galaxies in distant places like that and their color being a way to determine how they're moving away. And that's how we know that this space is expanding. Now, to some people it may make sense, but to me that's complete speculation because there could be other reasons as to why they look that color. And also being able to having galaxies or whatever those lights are in the sky be consistently lit, that's also debunks the globe Earth. And then here talking about how the galaxy is expanding away, then Hubble's law, like they're calling an equation a law. That's another thing that people should be aware of, is that laws are, they're not just equations that you create like that. And then here he just kind of keeps going and talking about how you can calculate the age of the universe using all of these equations, which it's just nonsense. But here's the thing. You can sound really intelligent. You can seem like you know what you're doing, just repeating a lot of the stuff and editing it really well. And as you can see, all the propaganda's there. And at the end, I also like to look at the numbers, right? So if we look at Friedman equations, 13 billion, the universe is 13.8 billion years. We have the 13 and then the 8. So like those are numbers that they use all the time. But let's go into the next one. It's the same
Dude,
type
how
of
do we
video,
even
so
know
I'm
that
not
the
gonna show
universe
whole
is
thing.
expanding? Because it looks red. Red?
It's the same
Indeed.
video.
Now, imagine I'm an ambulance vehicle. An ambulance? Was I getting closer to you or moving away? Moving away? Right. Sound is a wave, and those waves essentially bunch up in the direction in which their source is moving, hitting you at a higher frequency when getting closer and thus sounding higher. The opposite is true for a source of sound moving away. The waves hit you at a lower frequency and thus sound lower. It's called the Doppler effect. Right, but about the universe expanding? Yes, light is also a wave, and it behaves very similarly here. Instead of knowing the movement of something based on a change of pitch, we can know it based on a change of color. You see, light exists on a spectrum of lower and higher energy light based on the frequency of its wavelength. Higher energy light, which is bluer, is more bunched up, while lower energy light, which is redder, is more stretched out. Okay. Something that's moving away from you will appear more red as the wavelength of the light it's emitting gets stretched out, while something getting closer to you will appear more blue as the wavelength gets compressed. In astronomy, these effects are known as redshift, indicating that something's moving away, and blue shift, indicating that it's getting closer. So the universe looks red. Galaxies in the universe do. Now, we can't necessarily tell this just by looking at them, but when we analyze their light using techniques from what's known as spectroscopy, we see that all of the galaxies that we can find, aside from those that are gravitationally bound to ours, have light that is redshifted. They're all moving away. And the further a galaxy is, the more it's redshifted. This means that galaxies twice as far are moving away from us twice as fast. This indicates that the space between galaxies is continuously getting bigger. Trying to process. Heck, some of these galaxies are redder than red, as they're so distant and moving away so fast that their light has been stretched out to a wavelength that humans can't even see. Like infrared light. We need special telescopes to even know that they're there. I'm amazed and slightly uncomfortable with this information.
See, that's the thing. It's blue and redshift, they exist. Of course, you can prove that. You experience that, you know, when you have sound sources, but you can't extrapolate that to the light and to the lights you see in the sky to then speculate how far they are and how fast they're expanding. Really, this is insanity. So he's basically just going on with that. Like I said, a little bit more of this person. I showed you this other lady last time. Let's go on to this one.
So if the sun just disappeared, we wouldn't know for over 8 minutes? Correct. That's how long it takes light to reach us from the sun. But you're failing to take one important thing into account. What's that? The gravity of the sun. The Earth would fly off into space with nothing to be attracted to anymore. Pretty sure we'd notice that immediately. Wrong. In a vacuum, nothing can travel faster than light. Not even gravity. What? So then you're saying that the Earth would literally be orbiting nothing for over 8 minutes, in fact, before it flew off into space. Earth would leave its orbit at the exact same time that everything would go dark, because gravity doesn't actually exert its influence instantaneously. It too travels at the speed of light. Huh? Why would gravity happen to travel at light speed? Well, the speed of light is more significant than you think. 300,000 kilometers per second isn't just the speed of light, it's the speed limit of the universe. Einstein showed in his special theory of relativity that anything with mass cannot possibly go that speed, let alone surpass it. And any particle or wave without mass inherently travels at that speed. There's nothing special about light in this way, it's just that photons are massless, and therefore travel at the universal speed limit. In the same way that other massless things do, such as the gluons that mediate the strong nuclear force and, according to Einstein, the effects of gravity, more specifically, the propagation of gravitational waves. Look, man, I know Einstein was a really smart guy and all, but his fancy equations alone aren't gonna cut it for me, okay? I'll believe it when scientists find a way to prove that. They have proven it through several experiments now. They measured the speed of gravity through the orbital decay of a binary pulsar system, Jupiter's gravitational lensing of a background quasar, and through the direct detection. Prove that. They have proven it through several experiments now. They measured the speed of gravity through the orbital decay of a binary pulsar. Measured the speed of gravity through the orbital decay of a binary pulsar system, Jupiter's gravitational lensing of a background quasar, and through the direct detection of gravitational waves at LIGO, each finding the speed of gravity within a small measurement error to equal the speed of light. Oh. Why can't the universe just, like, make sense? Because it's under no obligation to.
You know what? I can't tell if this guy is just the most useful idiot or straight up is lying. I can't tell, but quite honestly, it doesn't matter. What I do know is that he sounds convincing. He probably convinces some people, and none of it is verifiable. But at the same time, I can totally see how some people like this just love it, eat it up, and it's all about it. And they wouldn't have it any other way. For me, I know what they're saying, and none of that really matters. And if you think about what he's saying here at the end, what the heck?
So if the sun...
It's like, we know, we've proven it because we've experimented, like we've done experiments, and we've noticed that the speed of gravity, like, oh my goodness, this is what people, how far people go, right? And it's annoying. Like, and I have family members that are like that. My father is kind of like that, you know. He will watch space cartoons and all that stuff and just think that it's true, and will never give anything else the light of day, which, yeah, I understand. So let's go here to plasma light. This is, oh, actually the next one's going to be very relevant to kind of reinforce some of the stuff that they tell you. The truth they do tell you. Some of the people that supposedly went there, they'll tell you the truth. But people like this that just read books and regurgitate for views and for views, and just because that's what they're into, the lie. So like this one.
I remember very clearly, I think anybody who was alive at the time does. I remember my parents waking me up, and we went down and we watched you guys land on the moon.
No, you didn't.
What?
Because there wasn't any television. There wasn't anybody taking a picture. You watched animation. So you associated what you saw with...
I have very hazy memories.
Yeah, I know.
Well, no, but what we saw was we all were gathered around the old curved top radio and listened.
Talking about, how many feet we were going to the left and right, and then I said, contact light, engine stop.
It's
a
exciting.
few other things, and then Neil said, Houston, Tranquility Base, the Eagle has landed.
That's just
Man, how about that?
That was very exciting.
Not a bad line.
Yeah. That's just...
No, you didn't.
What?
Because there wasn't any television. There wasn't anybody taking a picture. You watched animation. You watched animation. You watched animation. You watched animation.
Facts right there. People want to believe cartoons. So let's move on to this last one, which actually really interesting to me. It's called plasma light. So we'll end with this video. I will also play the song out. Thank you for being here. Links will be in the description for all of this stuff. thank you very much for watching this. If you find it interesting, share it, leave a comment, and I'll see you next time.
The world's most dangerous candle. It can't be blown out, it's attracted to you, and it can even melt steel. This fire is way hotter than regular fire. For example, let me show you comparing it to a regular flame here. I have my lighter and my plasma flame here. You can see that first you can't blow it out. If I blow on it, it blows out the lighter but not the plasma flame. And second, watch how fast it can light things on fire when you stick it in it, compared to a normal flame. So here's a regular flame. Takes a while to light it. Okay, now let's do this one. The reason it's so hot is because you're tearing off electrons from the gas molecules around it. In fact, it's so hot that if I just grab a small piece of steel and put it in the flame, it melts it. Whoa, look at these sparks flying. It's like I'm welding. But this is different than an electrical arc welder because it's not using a high current. It's using a very small amount of current, but a very high frequency alternating high voltage. Because of this high frequency alternating current, you saw that it could trip the AFCI breakers in my house, but that also means that you can light regular things by just holding it in your hand. For example, here's a tube of helium, and when I bring it close, it just lights it up. The electromagnetic waves that the Tesla coil is sending off are high enough to rip the electrons off of the helium atoms, but then when they recombine, they emit light. Here's one with neon. Or you can even just use an LED as well. One question that I had when watching this operate is, why does it look like regular fire? It's a little bit different color than regular fire. It's more whitish, but it's definitely more orange than other Tesla coils that I've operated. For example, here's a different Tesla coil that uses a lower frequency. And in this one, you can see that the plasma that's produced at the top of it is much more in the purplish blue range of light. Usually when you look up what the color of air plasma is, you'll find that it's in the blue or purple range. But the true color is much more variable. That's because air has so many things in it regularly, like water molecules, nitrogen molecules, and oxygen molecules, and there's also CO2, argon, and other things. Because it has so many different species that are actually quite reactive, there's a lot of different ranges of ions that you can get. And depending on how hot your plasma gets, you'll get different.
Okay, so I definitely want to talk about this video because to me, I mean, I find all of it interesting. I want to study a little bit more into this aspect of it, and it blows my mind how you can have almost this kind of wireless lighting up technology, and I'm sure that can be, you know, somehow engineered into some kind of product, right? So this is something that I want to look into. I wanted to share that video. I found it really interesting, and it's kind of related to you know, information that's trying to wake people up. So let's go to the song. Thank you for being here. Like I said, jump out.